The Marybeth Conley Show on KWAM, FM 107.9 and AM 990. If it matters to Memphis, you'll hear all about it on KWAM.
All right, Allison K Summers is where you will find our $1 million mind hidden behind the absolutely fabulous self of Allison K Summers, and she joins us today once again. Allison, how are you?
I am fantastic, Marybeth. I appreciate being here.
Oh, we just love having you. You're the author of the book Connect to Influence. You do seminars all over the country, workshops for big or small enterprises, and you coach business leaders as well. And you say it can be so simple to succeed in many ways. It sounds like it's just a matter of we need to get out of our own way. You have some ridiculously simple tips to becoming more likable in business. Number one, what do you mean by that? We all feel like we're likable, aren't we?
Well, I think I love what Delmar said earlier about you're so busy in your business that you need to lift your head and figure out what you need. And I think we often get so business, we leave this thing called likability behind. And we know, I coach a lot of folks in the corner office and folks on the way up, and culture is everything. And I will carry a likable person with me way further than somebody who's very competent, but who's just difficult or not a pleasure to be around. So I do think this piece about likability is important. And so some simple tips we can all do immediately. You know, and I know, Marybeth, you'll be like, okay, my mama told me this. And you need to say hello, and you need to say goodbye, and you need to tell everyone to have a nice day.
Wow. Okay. That'll help us in business? We can do that.
It will completely help us in business because when you do that, it lets people know that you see them and that you're conscious that they're there.
Gotcha. Delmar has given you virtual high fives, by the way.
But the C word, culture, yes.
Yeah, it's the culture. And then my second tip is smile like it's earning you money every time you part your lips.
I like that.
Okay.
You know, it's one thing when everybody says, oh, you need to smile more. I want you to think about a smile as earning you money every time you part those lips.
Ooh, that'll make me smile.
Yes, yeah, no problem.
Because it's a signal to other people of what's to come. It sets people up to already expect a good exchange with you.
Okay.
Because you're giving this very free and easy thing.
I assume you shouldn't walk around with a smile just plastered on your face at all times, right?
No, but when appropriate, it's the signal of what's to come in that human experience.
Okay.
And so use it a little bit more. I think we get, again, so caught up in business, caught up in our minds, looking at our cell phones, that we forget. And it's such a simple thing in our toolkit.
Okay.
Another one that I'm going to give you is when you walk into a business meeting, whether it's in a company you already work for or whether it's a new environment, it is not a game of musical chairs. You don't need to be the first person to sit. You can figure out where you want to position yourself in the room, but don't sit until the chair or the host of the meeting arrives, because the second you sit, you've closed yourself off from everybody. So you can kind of hang back with your cup of coffee or your bottle of water, look out a window, but be available so that it's easy for you, particularly in a sales situation, to shake a hand or greet somebody. But, you know, again, we rush in, we plop ourselves in that seat, and we completely close ourselves off.
Sure. Well, and the tendency, it's hard to sit you might be there for 5-10 minutes before the host comes. It would be very easy to slouch in that 5 to 10, to kind of get comfortable, pull out your phone, start catching up on those tasks. And so you're not as likely to do that if you're standing.
No, so a lot of times I'll go in and stand behind my chair. Like if I get possessive, I pick out my space. But then I stand behind my chair and I don't look at my phone, and I don't, I consciously smile when people walk in the room or say, how are you doing? And it's those small things. I think, Marybeth, we've talked a lot because we talk in my book, Connect to Influence, about building relationships. And so many people think that you have to be this big extrovert.
Mm-hmm.
But even in likability, it's the smallest of things that make a difference.
Okay.
And so those are just some tips. I don't know what you think.
Well, you mentioned too that this all, you didn't say it, but you said it without saying it. I'm wondering, these sound like nonverbal cues. So this is, you're hitting people at the gut level, right? Where they don't consciously go, wow, look at Allison, how friendly she is. How open to conversation she is, how confident she is if you walk into a room with a commanding presence, but it's at a gut level they feel that. Is that what this is all about?
Absolutely. So one of the other tips is I say look to tap them, TAP, which is thank, acknowledge, and praise. And I talk about sprinkling positivity because everyone desires recognition. Everyone desires to be seen and heard. But you have to make sure it's honest. And for me, when it's honest, it's usually in a one-on-one exchange when there aren't other people watching. So you're right, it is more at that gut level. Because if you compliment somebody in public, sometimes it can be perceived as backfiring on you. Like, oh, they're just putting on a show that they're going to compliment this person. But when it's in the smallest one-on-one exchange, it's perceived as more authentic.
Okay.
And so that's those small things in likability. And it can be anything that you're choosing to compliment or acknowledge, or even, and it doesn't always have to be praise. It can just be, wow, I have the impression that you had a really challenging work week last week. And somebody would go, oh, thanks for noticing. Yeah, I did.
Oh, okay. So the key is to be authentic. What if this sounds silly, but particularly let's think about the Me Too movement. If you've got a man and a woman in an environment, I can see in previous days, maybe a man might have said, wow, that's a beautiful suit. Now they might be a little afraid. Could it even be something as simple as that, or does that get goofy if you're the woman in that exchange and you don't have anything to say to this person, but you say, gosh, I really like that tie. Does that diminish you as a businesswoman if you make that kind of compliment?
I don't think so. I think it depends on what it is, when it is, and how much it is.
Gotcha.
Because male or female, we all as human beings have egos. And,
yeah, sure.
And want to be recognized. Now, but I think you're correct in that you should steer clear and go more towards a positive comment around work or effort or those kinds of things. You can even acknowledge that you've noticed somebody else offering a compliment to somebody else, because I'm a big fan, and I know, Delmar, working in human resources, you absolutely will say this. We want to recognize the behaviors we want to encourage.
Yes.
And so all of those things, they all work together. And I always think about likability as this, in business, we're in our office, but what if you had to pick 4 people to put in your car to go from the East Coast to the West Coast? And, I might have somebody that's the perfect navigator that's going to make sure that I don't miss a single turn, but they might be a big downer, too serious, no fun. So maybe I'm willing to, overlook a few minor mishaps if the person is part of, again, this culture that we're trying to create that's welcoming and positive.
Yeah.
So.
Well, I love one of your tips. She snuck me the list, y'all, because she knows I need help in this area. Is to be interested in the other person. Recall a fact about the other person. That's so simple. Mm-hmm. And so if you just, remember their child's name, or say, how's Jennifer doing?
Yeah. And so I'm bad because I deal with so many different people that I use my Outlook contacts. So, where you put your file to just put people's phone numbers and addresses and that, I actually use the notes section to put in small things. Like if I figured out where somebody went to university, and if they're a Big Ten football team, I'll be, okay, I can pull that out of my pocket.
Gotcha.
But sometimes you've got to put a date of when you write down, like, how old the kids are. Because you'll be like, so is Johnny going to high school? And they look at you and go, no, he's in college. So,
yeah, then it
Yeah,
looks like
that's important.
you're just trying, you're not authentic any longer. Yeah. And
Yeah.
just because someone's Southern, don't say congratulations on that national championship and assume we all love Alabama, okay?
Yeah, do not assume that.
It may be easier to think of a hobby. So if you know the husband or a man or whatever likes golf, a woman likes tennis or something. I think hobbies may be easier to keep up with
Yeah.
than somebody's children's name
True.
or something like that. So you know that person plays golf. So hey, how's your golf game?
Right. It's also a little bit less personal because,
Right.
again, you get into that kind of, it might be a little awkward depending on the relationship if you're
Exactly.
asking about, plus, what if there's a divorce?
Exactly.
Or, God
Yeah.
forbid, a separation or something like that, and you've just asked about their wife.
Exactly. So
Yeah.
hobbies
But you're always
are always safe.
yeah, you're always a winner if you find out somebody loves their dog.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
And you can ask about that. That's a
Safe zone.
It's so funny that we talk about the skills that you need to get to the corner office. I'm a big proponent of financially people need to understand how a business works from the front door to the back door.
Right.
And we can go through risk management and we can go through sales cycles, but we still have to be human. It still comes back to being very human to have people want to take you with them.
Yeah. At the end of the day, whether you're in sales or whether you are a CPA, it's who you know, you like, and you trust, right? Whether it's in your office or
Absolutely.
outside your office. And I tell you what, if you have trouble, you can't find your notes on your phone, or like me, you can't see the notes on your phone, and you can't remember all this. Brenda's got a great all-natural energy drink for you, for your brain. So just keep that in mind. When you say use a penny for your thoughts, what you say use this trick, what is that? That sounds like it might help the memory impaired among us.
Yeah, I mean, you would never say penny for your thoughts with somebody, but it's you need to be conscious to think about the other person's thoughts
Okay.
and their opinion or thought during an exchange. And I think those of us that have raised children are very good at this, right? We only ask to give people thoughts and choices on things that aren't, that it's okay. Like,
Right.
do you want to wear the red clothes or the blue clothes?
Right.
But I do think you need to consciously think about asking people for their opinion, and consciously saying, like if you don't care, if you're going to a sales presentation or a business meeting and you don't really care, but you can say to the person with you, how do you think this room should be set up? Or what do you think about this? Or do you think we should do lunch at noon or 12:30? Even though those are smallest of things, you're letting somebody else give their opinion and contribute to a process. And often when I say penny for your thoughts, when you can see somebody in thought or having a thought, don't rush past it and overwhelm them. Notice it and say, what are you thinking?
Okay.
And so that's the penny for your thought is you will be more likable if you are not constantly steamrolling over people and taking a minute. Now, sometimes as a business leader, there are pieces that, maybe we don't. But on the other hand, if you ask people what they're thinking and they're not aligned or on board, it's really good to know and figure it out.
True. Of course, you do have to quickly identify that person in the meeting who always has like a 45-minute thought and not ask them. You only make that mistake once. You know what it sounds like? The whole book, Everything You Needed to Know You Learned in Kindergarten. If we just were nice to each other, on a human level, wouldn't life in all ways just be better?
Yes, it would.
Well, and I think people just in business, they misunderstand this piece about likability in it giving them raises, it giving them opportunities.
Yeah.
It, as you said, the trust that who am I going to take with me to a business meeting or a sales call? Who's going to present themselves and represent my brand and my company in the best light.
Yeah. Yeah. You want to be that person chosen, and don't have such a chip on your shoulder that, I have to be so super uber professional, that you aren't also remembering.
I look at those as people relationship skills.
Yeah.
People relationship skills.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, and a lot of people that I've come across in business, big or small, some of them need leadership training.
Yeah, in this particular area. Well, that's where Allison can help them out. So there you go. Yeah. AllisonKSummers.com. She is our $1 Million Mind this week. We're going to have Allison every month. I'm so excited. I am
too.
Oh my gosh, I love this kind of stuff because it's so simple and elemental that a lot of people forget it. They jump right over it, and it really will propel your business to a new level. So get her book, Connect to Influence. Check out her website, Allison K Summers. Thank you, Allison, my friend, my colleague.
Much, ladies.
Thank you.
Our $1 Million Mind, and we will have her again next month with some more cool business tips.